So I want to get up on the soapbox again and kind of talk a little bit about what I think is the dark horse of the season for winter 2017 in anime, and that's Kuzuno Honkai, or Scum's Wish, if you're watching it on Amazon, paying $5 extra for it. This video is first not safe for work because of the content of Scum's Wish, but also contains spoilers, I guess. Spoilers don't exist. Kuzuno Honkai, if you haven't seen it already, is sort of about the relationship dynamics between a number of high school students and their teachers. And it's really good at a few things. I don't think it's entirely perfect in everything. There's a number of directing choices that I would, kind of pass on. But I do think it's very poignant at exploring some critical concepts. I think the biggest of which is what is love and what does that mean for each of its characters. The way Kuzuno Honkai goes about doing this is both extremely confusing and befuddling, but also entirely earnest. So, what I want to show is that the show doesn't have to present things to you, the viewer, in ways that are definite or ways that are clear. The show can, in a sense, lie to you because that's what the characters are feeling instead of what's actually happening. And this is not anything mind blowing. This is something that happens in almost every story. There's a perspective, and a perspective by which you view the events of the story. What makes Kuzuno Honkai both extremely laudable and extremely infuriating to a lot of people, I think, is that we're shown the passions and the thoughts of the characters in sometimes very, very stark means. They'll exposit something that, Mugi says in episode 5, I just want to tear her down and destroy her. She's looking at me with those eyes. And it's moments like those that give us a better feel into the characters and their mindsets, but also provide us with what is the quintessential essence of high school, trying to figure out who you are and what's valuable to you. What I think a lot of people are kind of chiding the show for, an example in the picture here, these characters are clearly wrong, they're clearly immature, and they're clearly holding worldviews that are untenable, or immature, or they don't know how to process their feelings. And the spillover from a lot of these situations where they incorrectly or, immaturely deal with the feelings that they're going through the period of change is judged as some conscious decision. And on some level it is that, you high schoolers becoming adults do have to learn to be responsible for their actions. But on the same token, these characters are not equipped with the mental and emotional faculties to be able to think logically or think rationally or consider the big picture. And that's why in episode 4, when the main character kind of feels that she's going to succumb to the level of bitchiness that Akane has, or when Mugi calls up his old girlfriend in an attempt to try and kind of capture something that's real and see if he has the types of emotions that he would have with the main character, with Hana. It's all floundering. It's all these high school students reaching out, grasping for something that's true, grasping for something that's meaningful, that they can build their worldview upon. And Akane and the Oni-chan, I don't know what his name is, the male teacher that Hana wants to be with, are no better, really. They still haven't come to any sort of point of view that they can rely upon. Akane, her point of view is unjustly criticized a lot as being sadistic or unnecessarily evil, that she wants to inflict pain upon other people. Well, she certainly does do that as a consequence. It's a symptom of her worldview that she has come to believe and build up upon because of her past, not actually being tenable and being a sort of shifting sand, a coping mechanism for how she understands the world. Because she doesn't know what love is just as much as Hana doesn't know what love is, just as much as Mugi doesn't know what love is, just as much as Oni-chan doesn't know what love is. They all have to explore and feel around and really cope as best they can. So Akane knows that having men attracted to her makes her feel good, and having women jealous of her makes her feel good, and having things be interesting, and there's no value in purity, like in episode 5 when she kind of takes advantage of the Oni-chan guy. That's her fucked up worldview. The main point there is you can't hate her for that. You can only understand her and sympathize for her and love her for it. We had a long discussion about what is evil, and is Akane evil in this sense? And evil people do mean things. They deprive other people of agency, and they inflict pain where none is necessary. And I think that's overly simplistic, not for just anime, but for dealing with human beings in general. And maybe this is me being a little preachy about what I've learned through Magical Girl series over the years, but I think it's something that resonates not only for Sailor Moon's approach to the world and almost every other magical girl ever, but also in other shows that portray characters wholeheartedly and realistically. Say, for example, a Michiko and Hatchin, or a Nana, or even an Evangelion that kind of touches on the same level of character confusion, I want to say, or inability to figure out their own values. All of these shows rely on you as a viewer empathizing, not judging the characters. And I think there's a large part of this too that you can do in something like narrative storytelling where you can make that be intradiegetic. I'm thinking very specifically of Haruhi Suzumiya when all the people in the class write her off as the crazy bitch, or the potential for human evolution or a god or whatever else, but Kyon actually takes the time to empathize with her and understand her and appreciate her for what she is. Another good touchstone on Kuzuno Honkai is Flowers of Evil. There's a similar type of situation where one of the characters in that show is kind of written off as deviant and outside the normal social circumstances. And and the show itself kind of asks you as the viewer to assume that position in the beginning, because that's the way the main character views it as well. And then throughout the show, it kind of tears down your assumptions there and shows you that things aren't so clear in this weird moral relativistic sense. It's not all black and white. And I think that's the big thing I want to take away from Scum's Wish. Don't look at things on the surface, especially if this show invites you to do otherwise, which Scum's Wish has certainly done in a lot of its shots, a lot of its inner monologues for the different characters. Instead, approach the show with a mind towards analysis instead of judgment. I want to know why the characters are behaving this way. Why does Akane feel the need to torture Hana? Why does Mugi feel the need to ruin Hana? Why does Hana not feel satisfied sleeping with her friend? Why are Mugi and Hana not actually in love? Why can't they feel that attraction to each other that enables them to go all the way, as she says? And then, on a broader perspective, as you're watching this show, consider what you believe love to be, or what you believed love to be back when you were in high school and in these types of situations, where I know a lot of us can't really relate. A lot of us weren't nearly as pretty as Mugi. But I want you to think about what you would do in that circumstance, what the correct answer is, whether that's socially, whether that's according to your own point of view and beliefs. But how would you handle this situation? And why are these characters unable to come to better solutions for the problems inherent in their lives? So far, what Scum's Wish has been is sort of an exploration of three really emotionally crippled characters that, not from their past, but just because of their inexperience and naivete and real directionlessness, are trying to find some stability and some perspective that will allow them some amount of happiness, but are continuously failing at that. And that's something so core to the human experience and something so entirely relevant to art and understanding who we are all as human beings that I don't think you can write this off as a simple, well, Akane is pretty evil, or, well, the directing's a little flubby. I think it's really asking some meaningful questions. And whether you want to answer those questions or not, at least respect the fact that the situations and the characters that are contrived are attempting to answer these questions or ask these questions in really relatable and poignant means. I mean, if that's too difficult for you, you can go fucking watch Dragon Maid. I hear this lolly dragons put a little gif of her on the front page of Reddit. Oh my god.